Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Sona Rajpal. Students, today I am going to explain what are salt and its various types. Student, salt is formed by combining acid and base. They will combine together to form salt and water. And students, whenever I am going to talk about salt, salt has always two parts. One is positive part and one is negative part. Positive part of the salt is called cation and negative part of the salt is called anion. And positive part in a salt comes from metal or metal like element. And anion part in salt comes from the non-metals because non-metals are always negatively charged, and the cation parts come from the metals because metals are always positively charged particles. For example, the example of the salt is NaCl, that is a sodium chloride. And in sodium chloride, student, if you see this sodium chloride has one positive part, that is sodium ion, and one negative part, that is chloride ions. And these chloride ions come from non-metals, chlorine, and this sodium ions come from metal, sodium. So you can say, students, salt is always made up of one metal element and one non-metal element, and because of this, salt is always an ionic compound as it always contains ions or charged particles. And salt is always a strong electrolyte, students, because it produces large number of ions when put it in water, and its solution conduct electricity when electricity is passed through it due to the presence of the ions, one positively charged particles and one negatively charged particles. And salt is of various type. One is acidic salt, student, one is basic salt, and one is neutral salt. And various family of the salt which can be recognized by its anion part. स्टूडेंट सॉल्ट का बहुत सारा फैमिली होता है और हम सॉल्ट को रिकग्नाइज उसके अनायन पार्ट से करते हैं, उसके एसिड पार्ट से करते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ़ यू हैव अ फैमिली ऑफ क्लोराइड फैमिली सॉल्ट, दैट सोडियम क्लोराइड, मैग्नीशियम क्लोराइड, सो यू कैन से स्टूडेंट्स सोडियम क्लोराइड इज़ अ सॉल्ट ऑफ क्लोराइड फैमिली. स्टूडेंट्स, हम अपने स्टूडेंट्स को ऐसे एक्सप्लेन करते हैं, जैसे मेरे पास बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स हैं, है ना. अगर संदीप मल्होत्रा, संदीप गुप्ता, संदीप जैन, सो आपका जो रिकग्नाइजेशन है, हाउ यू कैन रिकग्नाइज, दैट इज़ फ्रॉम योर सरनेम. तो सरनेम विल एक्ट बी इन सॉल्ट. सरनेम जो होता है वो उसका अनायन पार्ट एक्ट करता है, जो उसका नेगेटिव पार्ट होता है, जो नॉन मेटल से आता है. तो सॉल्ट का जो भी फैमिली होता है उसका रिकग्नाइजेशन उसके नेगेटिव पार्ट से होता है. इफ़ यू सी सॉल्ट, you have seen many salt, like it is a salt of sulfate family. For example, K2SO4, that is a potassium sulfate. जो उसका recognizations है उसके ही sulfate part से, उसके anion part से हैं. So these are the salt of sulfate family, because in every salt we have one positive part and one negative part, and salt are always ionic. Now the pH of the salt solution, because students, salt is of three types. One is acidic salt, and the pH of the acidic salt is always less than 7, because these acidic salt behave like acid, so उनका pH 7 से less होता है बेटा. और जो भी basic salt होते हैं, they behave like base and their pH is always more than 7. And students, जो neutral salts होता है उनका pH is equal to 7, because they will behave neither as acid nor as base. Now I am going to talk about the formation of acidic salt. Student, जो भी salt होता है, as I already told you, salt is made up of acid and base combined together to form salt and water. Because जब भी salt बनेगा बेटा, that is for sure water is produced, because the reason being acid give H ions and the base give OH ions, and whenever they both combine they will make water which is neutral. Because acid का जो H ions होता है उसको base का OH ions neutralize करता है. और बेटा जो एसिडिक सॉल्ट होते हैं विच बिहेव लाइक एसिडिक, उसमें strong acid, because that acidic salt is made up of strong acid and weak base. When the strong acid react with the weak base, it combine together to form, no doubt, salt is formed and water is formed. But here, student, I have to say, in solution, the number of the H ion is more than OH ions. Reason being, because whenever a strong acid react with weak base, student, तो जो भी strong acid होता है, it will produce large number of H ions in water, और जो weak base होता है, it produce less number of OH ion in water. So जब भी strong acid combines with the weak base, तो acidic salt is produced, because in solution the number of the H ion is more than OH ions, so that salt behave like an acid. Example is, this is a HCl, it is a hydrochloric acid, react with weak base magnesium hydroxide, because it will produce magnesium chloride. It has one positive part and one negative part. Or you can say this is a magnesium chloride is a salt, and its property is like acid. It behave like acid. So in above example, magnesium chloride is an acidic salt, because again student I am explaining, because in solution H ion is more than OH ions, so it behave like acid. Now I am going to talk about the formation of basic salt. You know student, जो basic salt होता है, it behave like a base. So it means it is made up of, when the strong base combined with the weak acid, it will make a basic salt, and no doubt water is formed, because student जो भी strong base होता है, like sodium hydroxide, it produce large number of OH ions in water, and जो weak acid होता है, it will produce less number of H ion in water. So beta, these OH ions and H ions combine to form water, but the number of the OH ion in the solution is more than H ions, so that's why that salt behave like a base. So in above example, this sodium acetate is a basic salt, because here the OH ion is more than H ions, so its property is like a base. Now I am going to talk about student what is neutral salt. So students, neutral salt is made up of by combining strong acid and strong base. They will combine together to form salt and water. Now I am going to explain with example. This hydrochloric acid is a strong acid, and this sodium hydroxide is a strong base. So they both produce large number of ions in water. HCl produce large number of H ions, and NaOH produce large number of OH ions. So they both combine to make water, and the NaCl is formed, because NaCl is salt, because it has one positive part and one negative part, because जो भी metal और non metal का होता है बेटा वो salt होता है. And you know students, this is a real neutralization reactions, because whatever the H ions produced by the acid is neutralized by the OH ions produced by the base. So in solutions, no H ions or OH ion is there, so the pH of this salt is neutral, that is 7. So this is a neutral salt. Now you have a question about when the weak acid or weak base combine together to form what. So it is a question of class 11, because just for your information, जब भी weak acid और weak base combine करता है तो वो salt neutral भी हो सकता है, acidic भी हो सकता है, basic. That is we explain in class 11th. So in conclusion student, I want to say, जो भी acidic salt होता है, as per your class 10th, acidic salt is always made up of strong acid and weak base. Basic salt is made up of weak acid and strong base. और जो भी neutral salt होता है वो strong acid और strong base को combine करके बनता है. बेटा, if you like my video, please subscribe my channel for more informative science videos, science classes at the rate Dr. Sona Rajpal 123. Thank you.